How's it going, guys? Balder here, and I am in Flight Simulator 10. Today I am flying the TFDi Design Boeing 717-200. Now, this is something that was showcased at Flight SimCon, and I got a chance to talk with the guys who developed it. They've really tried to develop this into not necessarily a study sim, but a very accurate rendition of the Boeing 717. And I have to say, they did an amazing job, and they made an amazing module. So I talked to them. I'd say, hey, you know what? You guys have it on sale. How about I buy it, and I will showcase it for you guys. They were definitely down with the idea. So here I am. I have it. I loaded up Flight Simulator, installed this thing. And so far, I like it. I like it so much that I finally decided to try and find a way to get the FMC to work, because I never got that stupid stuff to work, but now I finally did, and I couldn't be happier. So anyway, the startup procedure, also I have no idea what that is, but whatever, it's kind of cool. Anyway, startup procedure. If you don't know anything about the startup procedure, you can click on this tablet here, and you can just hit ready to fly. I kid you not, that's all you need to do. Now, the thing is, though, is that just be aware, if you want to program something on the FMC, and you clicked ready to start, then you finished it and clicked ready to fly, it's going to delete everything that you had in the programming. So just word of advice, don't do it. I made that mistake, and I am paying for it dearly. Anyway, while I get everything set up, I should probably mention something. The 717 was originally going to be the MD-95. It was originally designed by McDonnell Douglas. However, McDonnell Douglas was bought out by Boeing in the 1990s. Now, it was changed to the 717, but it didn't really have a lot of commercial success, so eventually Boeing discontinued the production of the 717. And honestly, I think that's a shame, because this is a really good plane, and it has really good mid-range performance. Very fuel efficient in that regard. Also, the engines are very responsive, controls are easy to handle. And all in all, this is a really well-built plane. It's just a shame that the sales don't agree, and unfortunately, there's not much you can do in that regard. So, if the market doesn't like it, well, why keep it? What a shame. But anyway, I'm going to get started with the flight plan. I'm going to be going from Tokyo Haneda all the way to Hokkaido. Let's see. I do have the paper in front of me. I actually decided to print out my flight plan. So, anyway, just click the box. JTT to... I may actually skip this part, leave it out of the video, depending on how badly I do it. There might be some fuck-ups here or there. I'm not too entirely sure, right? Anyway, so the alternative route is RJCM. Got it. Flight number is Balder Flight 2017, because I don't fucking know. That's why. Flight level is going to be 35,000 feet, and the cost index is going to be 5, because whatever. Cost index be cost index. Alright, so with all the weight units, this will actually tell you what's going on. So the center of gravity is going to be 22.1. You put it in here. Then the zero fuel weight, 87.7. There you go, and it calculates all that fun stuff. Alright, now we're going to go into the flight plan. Let's see what it looks like. Nothing too particularly fancy, right? So I'm going to go and take a look at my flight plan. I am going to be taking off at runway 22. There you go, and I am going to select the... You have quite a few options, but Side 2 is what I want to go with. Insert that. And the strange thing is that this actually generates a flight plan for you. It's not showing it right now, but that's because I didn't put in the arrival. So RJCC, going to star, and I'm going to be going direct into 19 right, and the approach is going to be Nagas 2. Insert. Activate thy flight plan. And now we have all these beautiful looking waypoints right here. And a bunch of flight plan continuities, or discontinuities. But let's see if I can get that fixed. So let's clear that. And oh my, that looks like we have a flight plan. Alright, so runway 22. Let's see if I can find out where that is. Actually, no, I'm not going to worry about it. In the meantime, release the parking brakes. Hook up the imaginary pushback. Now, since this thing is ready to fly, I don't really need to worry about the stabilizer trim. That's not too big of a deal right now, at least not in this stage of the flight. When they say it's set and ready for takeoff, I will believe them. And everything is good to go. It's so weird though, because I noticed that the real world weather is always hit and miss. Another thing that's very interesting is that with this jet, you don't need a lot to taxi. I could never taxi slow in this plane, at least not yet. So a little something to take into consideration, but otherwise an amazing plane. There's not much I can say about this that is bad. I just wish that the startup process didn't have to, or the auto start didn't have to reset every goddamn thing you tried to do. But, either way, I am going through taxiways, and truth be told, I have no idea where I want to go. I'm hoping that a taxiway will take me to one of the runways of my choice, but I'll have to wait and see about that. I see that there's a runway not in use, runway that you can't use, but I need to go to, obviously, runway 22. Oh shit, and I forgot about just do one small thing. And I will do it right here. So the slope is going to be... It's almost always the same from what I've noticed. Is that the slope... That's usually the glide slope, the standard glide slope that I've seen, and unless you're in San Diego or someplace like that, it is often not really that... gonna be the 15, okay. Almost forgot about that. Anyway. I'd always say when in doubt, that's a glide slope to choose, but that isn't always the case, and for all I know, I could be very wrong. I could be dead wrong. Literally dead wrong, but it is a simulator. I'm not going to be too broken up about it if I get killed. But it will... All it would do is make this video a ton more interesting. This is one hell of a taxiway. It's not runway 22. Doesn't even line up. I believe this is runway 22. I mean, it isn't too hard to follow the planes or the runways. You just need to fly in the direction that the runway says you're gonna go to. So, all right. So runway 22. And there we go. Yes, I have clearance. In fact, I'm the only plane at this airport. I'm the only plane in the sky. I'm the only plane in the world as far as this simulator is concerned.
Stabilizer. 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 Stabilizer.
I'll quiet you. Alright, anyway, V1 and rotate.
Stabilizer motion. Stabilizer motion.
And there we go. We have taken off. We are headed to Hokkaido, and holy shit, Tokyo is a very big city. I'm, at this moment in time, glad I have a video card that is capable of rendering this, because, isn't always the case. In fact, I think that's there are a lot of landmarks that are just base in the game.
Stabilizer motion.
There we go. Okay. Now we got things in motion. Now, I actually have to admit, not to be a total weeb, but I would love to go to Japan one day. In fact, when I played Flight Sim as a kid, I would always fly direct from Salt Lake to Kansai's airport, which is, well, that's in Osaka. It is an incredibly huge airport. I think it might be the busiest one runway airport in the world. I could be wrong on that though. I know San Diego is also pretty San Diego is busy-ish.
Stabilizer motion.
But there's only so much you can do with one runway. I also wanted to go to Hokkaido. It's a nice secluded place. Heard it has a lot of beautiful shrines and whatnot. Also heard there's a military base there, but that's not why I'm there. Also, why is the APU on? That's a good question. Let's see where the APU is. Okay, well, let's turn that son of a bitch off. Alright, there we go. APU is off. Don't know why it was on in the first place. But,
Stabilizer motion.
and there we go. Quite the plane, actually. Very smooth, very easy to control, very fun to play with. Just one word of advice: do not click these unless you absolutely have to. They're the fire extinguishers. And oh boy, I made that mistake. Once those things go off, there is no turning them on. Turning off the engines, that is. So yeah, in other words, don't do it. But yeah, let's take a look at our range, see what we have, and looks pretty basic if you ask me. Mostly a straight line. I don't know if this is telling us when we should hit flight level 350 or when we will hit flight level 350. But either way, just sit back, relax, enjoy the flight. Truth be told, I'm probably not going to give you the boring parts of the ascension, the climb, the cruise, but I will definitely get the descent prepared. Alright, so we are getting very close to our initial descent into Sapporo. But, yeah, this is a pretty, I wouldn't say long flight. It's a very short haul flight. It's supposed to last about an hour or so. And strangely enough, looking at the clock, I'm guessing the blue clock is just how long we've been flying. I'm guessing that's because I completely beelined to the descent waypoints instead of just filling out the FMC like I should have. But it's neither here nor there. Either way, nothing like enjoying the scenery. Now, I did actually install a very good scenery pack as well. It is called FS Global, which is something I was also convinced of buying at Flight Sim Con, and oh boy, I do not regret that. So basically, it makes the it takes the entire world and makes the textures more jaggedy and whatnot. And, oh good, looks like we have started our flaps, or started our descent, or should have started our descent. Let's, Alright, there we go. Now, I was talking to this one guy, he does quite a few live streams. I keep forgetting the name of his channel. But he mentioned that there's a specific rule, and this is a rule of thumb that pilots, particularly sim pilots, can use when descending a towards an airport. Truth be told, I completely forgot what he said, so shame on me for that one. But next time next time he does his live streams, I'm going to ask him about that, and from there on out, I'd say that I probably know quite a bit more about jet simming than I used to about 5 hours ago. It is so weird just how fun this simulator is. I mean, I have the JAR Design A330. I have an ERJ 145 that I should probably check out as well. I also have a Cessna Citation from Coronado, but none of them have really convinced me to invest in the FMC as much as the 717 did, and that's saying quite a bit. I mean, to me, it's always been difficult. Yeah, we're going to be descending into, well, the airport, I think at a reasonable pace. Actually, I'm not too sure about the reasonable pace part because, honestly, I've Haven't covered a lot of distance yet, but I've still descended quite a bit, so I might be descending a little too fast. I'm not too entirely sure. But so far, so good. Strangely enough, the cabin altitude's going down as well. I'm not entirely sure about that. I'm guessing that it has to do with the systems, because the way that it works is that air gets sucked into the engines. The said air will get, some of the said air will get redirected into the cabin through the vents, the ducts, the air conditioning. And what that will do is that if you force enough air into there, you'll pressurize the cabin. That's how pressurization works. So my guess is that with this cabin altitude, in fact I'm going to click and I'm going to show you right here. I'm guessing with this cabin altitude, the reason why the altitude is descending so quickly is possibly because I'm descending relatively quickly as well. And as a result, the cabin is being more pressurized than it normally would. That's just my theory. Maybe somebody who knows a little bit more about this can tell me what's going on, but that's the theory that I have, and that's the theory I'm sticking with, unless I learn something else. Oh, and another thing that I noticed, and this was actually kind of creepy in a way, when I decided to pull this thing and turn off the engine, that also prevented my plane from being pressurized. So I think the number 1 engine is in charge of pressurization of the cabin, while the number 2 engine is not. Which would absolutely suck if you think about it, but yeah, that would make sense to me. Maybe it's adjustable. I have not read the manual. It's just that today is really the first day I've actually had the chance to really play with this. I am absolutely happy. I am a pig in mud happy, to be precise. Alright, so... yeah, I think I think that's the peninsula that's a little bit north, and we're actually entering Hokkaido now. But yes, so the elevation of this airport is actually pretty short. We're looking at something like 80 feet. Not even that, I'm actually looking it up on my phone. It says we have about 70 feet of elevation on Hokkaido. Huh. I guess there's not really a whole lot to say when you're flying over the ocean and you're just looking at a huge landmass in front of you. I just find it so... You know, if I ever get the time in my life, I'm gonna go to Japan. Heard it's a very beautiful place to go, very expensive, but still, it's... yeah, expensive. I guess that's the best way I can put it. But no, I'm turning. Now we have something interesting happening. Now we have some action. Yes, shit is getting real. And, wow, I'm kind of surprised that it didn't have the standard altitude out earlier. I guess now's a good time to tell you that I'm a little bit tired right now, so... just be aware of that. Now, I do see an airport out in the distance. I don't know if that's the airport that I'm going to be landing at, but it wouldn't come as a surprise if that were the case. So I think the airport is going to be somewhere around this region. Oh man, editing and rendering this video is going to take a while. I don't mind though. I'm just kind of curious what that jagged white piece of terrain is to the left. It looks like this giant tent. Actually, that's a good question. Let's see if I can... whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. One thing at a time. I have no idea what that is. It almost looks like a volcano. Alright, there we go. So yeah, when it comes down to this plane, there are a lot of buttons that have a left clicking function and a right clicking function, and it's best to figure out which. Yeah, we're seeing a bunch of crater lakes. No, I must be honest, I am pretty tired. I'm actually about to crash. I'll definitely be getting some sleep once I'm done with this. Still, I have... Oh, yeah, I'm guessing that's the airport right over there. Alright, so this thing is going to be putting me into the base leg. Well, currently I'm in the downwind leg. I think I'm in the downwind leg. I'm actually going to be flying upwind this time. Is what it is. I think the problem here is that the website that I got this from, by the way, I will link the website into the description below so you can create your own little flight path. I think that one does not share the same weather information that FSX does, so that might be issue number 1 right there. But still, the way this thing is working, I really do like how much attention to detail this plane has. Probably extended the flaps a little bit too early. But whatever, it's something to get me slowed down on, and oh my. That is a steep nose if I've ever seen it. Says I should add flaps 18. I don't know if that's a good idea. Question is, am I flying the plane or is the plane flying me?
Altitude.
Yeah, I'm definitely way too low altitude-wise. Alright, so...
Altitude.
Not quite you. Well, if I want a calm voice that's calmly going to tell me that I'm gonna die, I'd rather it be Bitchin' Betty than, I don't know, Nagging Ned. I don't know what the male term is for those guys, but anyway. We're passing that, and now we are on our base leg. Soon going to be heading into our final approach. But yeah, lots of farmland. I really like to see what this place is like, honestly, but that's a different discussion for a different day. I mean, the way things are going, my work would never really permit it. I live a very busy life, unfortunately, so... Things, as you could imagine, could get kind of crazy, but... the same token, maybe I can squeeze a week or so into my schedule to do so. It all depends. Not that I can say many things wrong about my job, I actually like it, but you really don't have a lot of time when you're working in the airline industry. You have no time whatsoever.
Autopilot.
Alright, so I got the controls. Time to land this thing. Moment of truth. Yes, I am way below the glide slope. That's my single engine private pilot talking, making that judgment call, not my airline pilot side. Okay, so this thing is actually pretty good, pretty easy when it comes to landing. Granted, I am a little bit fast when it comes to this descent, so I'm gonna ease back on the throttle a little bit, and... oh shit, I need to fucking disengage auto throttle. Hang on. How the fuck do I... oh. I kind of screwed up my approach, but at the same time... I can lower the nose down.
$1,000.
This also doesn't look like the...
500.
This also doesn't look like the safest runway to land on. This looks more like a GA runway.
400.
So I really need to make sure that I grease this landing
300.
and not overshoot it.
Minimum. $100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
Ah, and there we go. That was a longer flight than I thought it would be, an hour and 21 minutes. I actually looked up flights from Haneda to Hokkaido, and they generally fall within the hour and 50-minute range. So this is pretty spot on, but as I said, I'm actually kind of surprised that there wasn't a huge market for the 717 in Japan, because an island that size would be perfect for this type of plane. I mean, this is where the fuel efficiency really reigns in. And I actually sent it for... I'll explain it, but anyway. So, there is about I needed about, how much is it? Let's see. I need about 6,167 pounds of fuel. And I started out with about, I believe, about 8,000, 9,000, maybe even 7,000 pounds of fuel. And I didn't even use half of that. So, in other words, this is a very fuel efficient plane, and this is what I really like about it. So, really fuel efficient, especially during these medium hauls like I just did right now. But it's very, yeah, I'd say it's a very good plane. It's a shame that it didn't really have a big market to it. I mean, we can't always get what we want in life, but yeah, I still think that this plane had a lot of potential. Too bad it had to end that way with not only the 717, but McDonnell Douglas itself. Either way, TFDi, you did a fantastic job. I wish I could review it if I had the time, but hopefully in the future I'll have more time to actually do so. I'm impressed, to say the least. I know there are some buttons that aren't fully functional, but it is realistic, very realistic. And I talked to these guys. The realism goes in depth to the point where they talk to maintenance personnel, they've talked to people who designed it, they also talked to pilots who fly it, and not only that, but they recorded the switches, so whenever you have a switch like, I don't know, this for example, they actually recorded it. So, bravo to you guys, you made a fantastic product, highly recommend it, really fun. But with that said, like and favorite this video, and subscribe, or if you're watching this on VidMe, just like it, follow me, whatever you want to do. Anyway, you guys, have a nice day.